Clock already, Mr. Moepya. How are things generally? I mean, we got off to a bit of a bumpy start in the morning. What can you tell us as far as the country is concerned overall in terms of this process?
It's good going. We are proceeding fairly well. You will never have an absolute smooth start in an exercise of this magnitude. I think what is important is whenever there are challenges, we need to address them and address them swiftly. We regret that they would be there. You know, an accident is always going to happen somewhere. You know, there will be somebody that doesn't show up at the voting station. Somebody will not find a voter's roll that they have confirmed last night that they had, and so on and so forth. But I'm satisfied that voting stations are functioning as they should be functioning, and that voting is underway across the country. I have really cherished listening to the feedback, even as I was waiting here, with your reporters across the country and how voting is going. And it gives me a great pleasure that this institution is serving South Africans as we should.
All right, Mr. Moepya, these elections, to use the phrase which has been used throughout, these are the most hotly contested municipal elections we've seen. How have they been for you? How have they differed for you?
They have been very different. They have everything in a record number. You know, the amount of political parties that are contesting are high. The candidates are a record number, voters are a record number. You know, there is generally a large number of everything, you know, voting stations, everything. But we've also seen the maturing of our democracy, political parties, understanding the electoral processes, challenging these processes to the extent that they are not satisfied with this. Every step of that electoral process being questioned where, you know, people are not clear about that. I think as South Africans, we should welcome that. It would help, you know, to deepen our democracy. Of course, the transparency in this election is even more than we have been before. Every media house that is interested, we are giving them a live feed of results, for example. In the process that we've gone through and will go through the results process, there's so much of transparency. And I think this all augurs well for South Africa.
I want to talk
but
about
it does make arranging or organizing the elections much more difficult, I must say.
I could imagine. I want to talk about some of the things that came up in the press briefing earlier.
Yes.
Scanning machines.
Yes.
We had some problems in the morning, and we believe that some voting stations to actually delay opening up. How far are we with that in terms of a resolution?
I can almost bet you that the problems that we had are minuscule problems. We shouldn't have them. And I granted. But we will be telling the nation in a week or so how many people, you know, came, what time they came, because we'll be harvesting that data from the scanners. And that's when you will be seeing that quite a high number of scanners were actually working as they were required to do. But, you know, we will make that assessment. We're not able to make it now. We'll make that assessment once we download the data and we share it with the nation.
I've got to ask you just one more thing before I let you go. The issue where a large contingent of IEC officials were fired in KwaZulu-Natal, where are we with that, and what's the process going forward with that?
It's not a large contingent of staff, but in instances where we found that they have made serious departures to what they are required to do, you know, they have cast aspersions on the process. In the work that we do, perceptions are as good as reality. And in those instances, we'll let them leave our employ. We'll resolve that problem later as we should, but we have to let voting proceed. And that's what we have done. There are two instances in eThekwini, and they involve two people. There's one in Edumbeni. It involves one person. And those things, when they arise, we have to be firm. We have to send a message out there, and we have to ensure that the process is safeguarded. That's what we are doing.
Chief Electoral Officer Mosotho Moepya, thank you very much for your time, and all the best with the rest of these proceedings. All right, well, we're taking you now to Aldrin Sampier, who